All right, here we are. Another day of, or rather, another Thursday of talking about our games and whatever happened in the game. And today we're talking about more mysteries of Castlevania. First, we're going to talk about Castlevania Belmont's Curse and the updates we've been receiving. Holler to you too, Seabash, regarding the game. And we're going to go to some hard to find interviews regarding the makings of some of the Castlevania games we know, including Symphony of the Night and Curse of Darkness. If we have a little more time, I'll also take a look at the Lament of Innocence review as well. So, to start this off, as I usually say, we're going to start with news. So, with the theme being for Belmont's Curse, we're going to take a look at some news regarding that. So, here we go. I'm going to get to the. All right, here we go. So Steam, so far it's going to be for PC users, at least according to the promised release date. Steam is going to get it on October 14th. So PC users, you get an extra day earlier for this. They promised an eventual release on Switch and Switch 2. So we're just take a look at that. Nintendo Switch version is coming sometime in 2026, but it will be later than the Steam, PC, Xbox, or Xbox Cloud Gaming, which is, you can play Xbox games, stream them from the cloud. I kind of gave up on that. To each their own. I wish well for those who do use Xbox on PC. But Xbox is going to have it. PlayStation is going to have it on the 15th of October. So right before Halloween. And what else do we have here? So this is the official page for it. More recently, so this is when we got the character cards. So we'll go through each of these. Rose Belmont, daughter Trevor. Okay, Trevor's in the game. Okay, he's not dead. Good. Count Dracula somewhere. Now, I'll talk more about what I'm worried about Count Dracula being a little later. Oh, good luck to that one, Seabash. She comes first. All right, your daughter comes first. I was kind of out of gaming a bit, out of gameplay and reviewing video games for a while, because my 3 little boys were born from starting 2014, and the last one was 2019, right before the pandemic. So those are the 3 I've got. But they've grown up, and it's a little easier now. They've all grown up. The youngest one's finishing kindergarten. They're great. I love them. Oh, congratulations on the daughter. Okay, I wish her your wife and the rest the best. So there we are. So we're gonna go back to this one. So these are our minutes. So we're first going to talk about Belmont's Curse. Then we're going to talk about hard to find interviews for Symphony of the Night, Lament of Innocence, and Curse of Darkness. So first one, like I said, it's being released October 15th, 2026 for both PlayStation and Xbox. I kind of had this wish, I was wondering if it would turn up on the anniversary day, September 26th, which is the 40th anniversary of the entire series, but it's fine. I guess for right now, Super Castlevania 4 remains the one that was actually released on Halloween. Switch 2 is unconfirmed, but they said at Konami and Evil Empire that they will do a Switch release eventually. Just not on October 15th or 14th for PC users. Main character is actually Rose, Richter Belmont's daughter, been previously alleged that the character was a new version of Sonya. That was just speculation. Castlevania Legends was decanonized in 2000. Now, Sony is infected with the titular curse of the game's title. It's set in Paris. We don't have all the characters yet, but they have shown us some of them from Konami themselves. Um, Evil Empire worked on Dead Cells Return to Castlevania, so they earned Konami's interest because Dead Cells Return to Castlevania sold more than any individual Castlevania game in under a year. The Dead Cells Castlevania DLC was over 3 million copies in the year after its release. That's good. Um, so Konami, chances are Konami looked at this. Wow, they made something based on Castlevania with our permission that sold. Let's ask them to help develop our game for us. So because maybe that will help sell, and it probably will. I don't know what to estimate. Those of you in the comments can give your estimates of how well you think Belmont's Curse will do. Lords of Shadow was the last time we got a 3D game called Castlevania. Before that, it was Curse of Darkness, and this one's just related as we'll go over the characters here. Isaac LaFerez from Curse of Darkness. Again, he's voiced by Liam O'Brien. Liam O'Brien works a lot now today at Critical Role, helping make role-playing games, and he was multiple voice roles in the heavily hyped last year called Dispatch. He was the super villain with electric powers called Thunderstruck or Lightning Struck. I can't remember which name it was because the character got nicknamed like crazy by the main playable character in Dispatch and the other ones so many times. The Fallen, don't know who he is. He's supposedly the first boss battle of the game. Dracula, we don't see his face yet, but it's. However, if we go to the Count Dracula card, and I'll show a version, I'll show a bigger version of that, of what Count Dracula is, because yes, this acknowledges what happened in Curse of Darkness, at least in terms of Dracula. So I'm going to go back to that Konami screen here. See, so Immortal Vampire King and the Lord of Dracula's Castle. In the late 15th century, he led an army of monsters and plunged humanity into despair, but was defeated by Trevor Belmont and his companions. 3 years later, referring to Curse of Darkness in 1479, he temporarily resurrected, revealing that his soul was indestructible. 20 years later, he comes to Paris. Okay, see? And not only that, but you have, again, yeah, it is Isaac LaFerez, Devil Forge Master who creates and commands demons. He has a history with Trevor dating back 20 years. So yeah, Isaac met Trevor in Curse of Darkness for those who played it. I'm going to put that in a recommended order. Carmilla, this will be the earliest time chronologically that we have Carmilla appearing in a Castlevania game. Before that, we had, I'm going to go do a little detour to Simon's Quest to show a little chronology here. Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. I want to get the year right in the game. 1698, 7 years after Son of Belmont. So Carmilla, it is the earliest chronological time because this is the first time you meet Carmilla as a villain. The other time you meet it is in Rondo of Blood, 1792. So there. This is the earliest time in a game you meet Carmilla because prior to that it was just Simon's Quest. And for those of you who are wondering like why this Isaac doesn't look the way he does, this is the video game Isaac from Curse of Darkness. So I say LaFerez because that distinguishes him as a character. Yeah, I'm annoyed by the ads. I wish I could do like Wiki Premium, like I can do YouTube Premium, because it's hardly get ads, and I've honestly decided that starting next month I'm going to do YouTube Premium for a month. They're offering it to me as a free trial, so why not? I will. I'll do as a free trial week month just to get just to not have ads like that much, and I'll look up ad blockers too. So earliest time Carmilla shows up in a Castlevania game. Joan of Arc. It's interesting how that turns out to be a villain. Fallen one. Now my real thing is that yeah, I killed Isaac. You kill Isaac in Curse of Darkness, but these are recommended games. So there's Dracula's Curse. You can get it in the Anniversary Collection. You can get it NES if you still have that, and you can also get it on the Switch Store, which makes me curious because I want to see if they have the Castlevania 64 games on the Switch Store yet. So we're gonna take a little trip over there and see. Hey, have they finally gotten the Nintendo 64 Castlevania games on the Switch Store? So it's been, almost a month since I checked the Switch Store because I have done this subscription with the Nintendo Switch because it's been fun playing Nintendo 64 games with a Switch controller configuration. Retro games. So I'm going to go here and we're going to go look. And we're going to see, hey, are the Castlevania 64 games available yet? Because now with Switch 2, they let you play GameCube games, which is cool because, hey. So let's... Retro. Okay. No. Nintendo Online. Okay. No, I want retro game. I want the retro emulation on the Switch. Here. This is so much easier just finding the store on the Switch itself, but we'll find it. Okay, so this is it. All right, Nintendo Retro Library. So if you have a Switch like I do, I can go and just do a subscription or a free trial, and I can just go, hey, look, these are all these retro games. So I can look at you can have it by the thing. Nintendo GameCube, you need a Switch 2 to do that. I just can't get a Switch 2 yet because I had poor timing. Yeah, it does. It's more simple when you go back to the time of Trevor or Simon and Christopher. So I'm going to go back here. Let's check out Nintendo 64, what they have here. Jet Force Gemini, that's good. I would like to play that on a Switch. Perfect Dark, that's been since the beginning. Yes, and there's Sega Genesis. Let's see. Oh no, they don't have Castlevania 64 yet. Well, that's sad. That's sad. Turok 2 though. Sin and Punishment. Okay. So no. They don't have it yet. And I can see issues, but I would be happy, a really happy man, if they actually, for some reason, put the Nintendo 64 Castlevanias up before on the Switch Store before they actually do a 3D remaster collection. So that's the thing I'm tempted to do a poll on is what do you think will come first? Castlevania 64 on the Switch Store or a 3D remaster collection? Because why not? But yeah, these are the recommended ones. Dracula's Curse and Curse of Darkness. Actually. So now I actually do feel like watching the trailer and doing highlights of that too as well. Belmont's Curse trailer and highlighting it a bit. So that's what we're gonna do. First, I'm gonna put the poll down. Poll for you in the audience. Here we're gonna do it. Get some little poll in the chat. First. There we go. Poll started. All right, the poll is running. So here we go, poll running. So let's take a little look here at the trailer. I'm going to get the trailer set up. Come on, there we go. It's being a little slow, sorry. Do a full screen on this one. Okay. Here we're going to go. Set up here. All right, here we are. Let's go. 1, 2, ready, go. So this is the Xbox ad, but let's get started. All right, so there's where you see Isaac LaFerez. He's turning the clock, which is interesting because in Curse of Darkness, that was Saint Germain who wound the clock tower. So I wonder how this Isaac, or I think it's Isaac, it's voiced by the same guy, Liam O'Brien, how he's doing that. Turning the clock with a spirit in a boss battle, huh? But I do like, the wall bouncing and other things that uh, I don't recall them any bouncing off the wall. So Carmilla right there. Actually, let's take a look at who the artwork is from. Yeah, so it's an old one. The shield is an old reference. So actually, I'm gonna show that. I'm gonna. There's Dracula's ribs, and you can use it as a shield in Simon's Quest. But it's been around for a long time. You even use the same relics in Simon's Quest in Symphony of the Night when you go into the Hell Castle, like the inverted castle or the Hell Castle, to bring Dracula back and kill him as his son. So I will finish this, but yeah, October 2026. I actually want to look up the artist for a minute. Let's take a look. Because I believe I've seen that before. Katsuya Terada. Oh, that's cool. Um, actually, I don't want to look at that because Katsuya Terada, he did manual artwork for Legend of Zelda. Like, see right here, Dark Link from Zelda 2. Zelda 2 here. Original Legend of Zelda right here. So I think it's good. That's an interesting bit of artwork. I mean, I never, I mean, there are a lot of different opinions. My own is I did like what Ayami Kojima did. She wasn't going to do the main artwork forever, but yeah, Legend of Zelda. It's old manuals, and but it's nice to see he's working on Belmont's Curse for the artwork there. I really like it. And I think you're right. I mean, there's some kind of oh, no. Katsuya Terada, actually, it's a he, right? That's him right there. Yeah, it's a man. I know it's easy. It's an easy mistake to make. It's like in the Matrix. It's like I thought Trinity was a man, like most men do. Oh, Ayami, yeah, I do like the work Ayami Kojima did in both Castlevania and I believe Metal Gear as well. Actually, like, yep, Metal Gear Solid. Yeah, it's true. I guess my recognition is working here. But yeah, Metal Gear for right now is stuck in the remake mode. That's a uh, that's a disappointment of mine. I'd be glad if they have if there was something like if they had Metal Gear, the one that was for NES and Famicom, and they had Metal Gear the original as a type of 3D game with some things different, I would be happy about that. So, but my time's running a little short, and we are now going to talk instead about the hard to find interviews on Castlevania games. So we're going to go and I'm going to go find the interviews. I put the links to the interviews in the description. We're going to go take a look at the interviews, official interviews that they had for Castlevania Symphony of the Night and Castlevania Curse of Darkness. I might go to Lament of Innocence if I have a little extra time. So, Castlevania Symphony of the Night. But I have the link to the interviews in the description, so if people come by, I'll put it here. Hang on. Hi. So here we go. And talk about the what this could be. So this is from June 1997 in Konami Magazine. So this is after they released it in March originally. So let's go to this. The new Castlevania is for the PlayStation. What would you share with us? Well, obviously hardware. And ha ha ha, somehow they fit all of Resident Evil 2 on a Nintendo 64 cartridge. And I really want to figure out how they pulled that off. I've been sidetracked, but I still remain curious is how they put a 2-disc PlayStation game on a single Nintendo 64 cartridge, because it feels like alchemy. That's how someone did that. So here's what we said. Like, how can Alucard, who is a half vampire, use holy weapons? Because we don't really see Blade or Vampire Hunter D using the cross like Alucard does. So we're going to look at the ideas that Igarashi and Hagihara had. So Igarashi, this isn't officially in the story, but in the backstory of my head, his mother was descended of holy blood, so he can use those weapons. That's why Alucard has both the powers of light and dark, which is something we had decided on the outset of the development. That's Igarashi. Hagihara had his idea, which is based on your character doing good or evil action. So in Hagihara, in the early planning stages of development, we had an alignment system. If you used the sub-weapons a lot, you would have a holy alignment. If you used magic a lot, you'd have a dark alignment. Igarashi. Yeah, and the ending would have changed based on your alignment. We had various subtitles for the game in mind too, like Simon no Toriru. Okay. What do you think is the toughest enemy in Symphony of the Night? Under normal conditions, Galamoth is a tough fight. If you don't have any extra power from equipment, it's a real slog. Well, there actually is an easy trick to killing Galamoth. That's you fly through his head, and then you hit him in the head repeatedly and don't give him chances to recover. If you just fly through his head, land on the platform on your upper right corner of that room, and just keep hitting him in the face without letting him recover, that's a quick way to kill Galamoth. Especially with the Chrysagram. So this is in 1997. They changed elements of this. Because they had a radio drama known as Nocturnal Recollection. So here's what you say. In the ending, Maria chases after Alucard, but I'm curious about what happens after that. Igarashi, that's something left for all the players to imagine themselves. It's not our place to say. There are other endings where she doesn't follow Alucard. But, going back to the morality system, I do feel that if they decided, hey, we'll remake Symphony of the Night, the best way to do it would be to not be a 1-for-1 with Symphony of the Night, but actually do it so that you have the Alucard who becomes more good or more evil, depending on what you do as Alucard in the game. So actually having it so that it takes you less hearts to use a sub weapon because you are a good Alucard, and maybe you become an evil Alucard at the end because you did a lot of evil acts. That, I feel like, could be a good way to have a game in a new way. Because there were a number of games that had a morality progression system. Some of them were at the time of Symphony of the Night. So we're going to go to So this is a Star Wars themed game, Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight. And in Dark Forces 2 or Jedi Knight, your character became more evil if you used dark side powers. In this Star Wars themed game, it became the character became more good if you used light side powers. So, and this is 1997, October of 97. So wait, a little later than when you had Symphony of the Night released in March of 1997. So in a way, it shows that trying to put a kind of good or evil alignment morality system in a video game wasn't, or a PC game rather, wasn't that new, isn't as recent as you would think. I mean, it's famous in the 2000s because you had Fable Lost Chapters or Star Wars, another Star Wars themed game called Knights of the Republic, where your character became more evil and more able to use certain equipment based on how dark or light they became. But it's funny because at least as early as 97, you had a character who could progress in a good or evil way, in a good or evil path in Jedi Knight. So it's interesting because you have these themes that are based off of the Star Wars franchise, where you have a game based off Star Wars, and whether it's Knights of the Republic or Jedi Knight, and your character becomes more good or more evil depending on your character's decisions and your character's special powers they use. Then, as far as morality systems go, you have Baldur's Gate. So, I mean, I'll show a little bit of Baldur's Gate, the original. Baldur's Gate and Baldur's Gate 2. Those have a morality system as well, and this is the first Baldur's Gate was in 1998, December of '98. So for a lot of people, it came out in 1999 or 2000. But Baldur's Gate also has a character that becomes good or evil. It's more based off Dungeons and Dragons. Then you also had not really Baldur's Gate, but what's really famous for a character becoming more good or more evil and your equipment being restricted by your good or evil alignment is Fable, the Lost Chapters. The other Fable games try to play with it a little bit more. But this one also had it your character becomes more good or more evil because of the actions he does. Later Fable games let you play as either male or female. But yeah, that's morality systems. And it's interesting because the interview they said they wanted to make Alucard be potentially progressing more in the good or evil direction. It didn't end up in the final one. They had constraints and they had deadlines to meet with the changes of consoles. So what we got is what we got. But if they set aside this character morality progression in a remake of Symphony of the Night, it would set the remake aside from the original. So next one we're going to go to is, and this developer interview will also be in the links to the description, is Castlevania Curse of Darkness developer interview. So this is November 23rd. It's about 2 weeks from the time they released it on November 1st. What do we have here? So in the Japanese version, it was released as Akumajo Dracula for Curse of Darkness. So why did they change the name? Okay, Iga. First off, I should say we weren't trying to draw a line between this game and the previous one. The reason we changed it to Castlevania in the first place was that Akumajo Dracula games actually have a bigger market share in Europe and America compared to Japan, which means that the volume of reporting and info on them is greater there too. And they also go on sale there first. In the not too distant past, news outside of Japan was hard to come by. But now with the wonders of the internet, Japanese users can easily catch what's happening. but Akamandra Dracula has been called Castlevania overseas, so we were concerned that Japanese users wouldn't make the connection that Castlevania equals Akamandra Dracula. That's why the last game we decided to change it to Castlevania here too. As far as we changed it back for this game, up to now, the Castlevania title has been associated with trilogies. We felt like our name change had the opposite effect of making it hard to get information about the Akamandra Dracula titles. In other words, there were still Akamandra fans in Japan. People seem confused. Wait, is this Castlevania? It's supposed to be Akamandra Dracula? We couldn't let that go on, so we returned to the original title. So why did you choose that particular setting 3 years after Castlevania 3? Well, part of it is I just love Castlevania 3. Once we came up with the innocent devil system in which you could have a demon servant that fights alongside you, that was when I first started thinking about where in the Castlevania timeline we should place this new game. Since the innocent devils are demonic creatures, I figured the new story should be how close to demonic as well. The idea I came up with was when Ralph C. Belmont was fighting Dracula. Behind the scenes, there was someone who betrayed Dracula. There was someone who. So this is talking about Trevor. He betrayed Dracula. There was also someone who was pursuing him and hunting this traitor. Those circumstances were part of the reason Dracula was defeated then. I thought it would be interesting to have a story like that, with events that weren't part of the official recorded history, but were nonetheless major events. In that sense, I guess you could say that the gameplay system idea came first, and from there we built the story around it. Why did you choose the theme of revenge for this game, Iga? Up until now, the Belmonts have been seen as the good guys. I thought it'd be nice to do something other than a moralistic good triumphs over evil theme sometimes. After all, Castlevania has always had an excellent world for telling a dark hero story. Alucard would be one such character, though even he is fighting for a just cause. I've got to stop my father. So he's kind of in a good guy, though. This time, though, I wanted the motivation itself to be impure, so this theme is what I came up with, and I thought it would be even more interesting if each side was out for revenge on the other. Arkham Kratos, how are you doing? Yeah, I mean, it's unannounced. It's unannounced when Belmont's Curse is coming out. Um, I really hope that when they finally do a remastered 3D collection, that they have the Switch release, PC release, and the Xbox and PlayStation releases just be close together or around the same time. It'd be nice if it could work that way. I'm just disappointed. They're gonna do it. They have the other ones, and I'll finish this interview right here, and we're gonna go look and see what Castlevania games they have. I'm pretty sure they have the NES ones. You got a long time. What can you tell us how Hector's character was created? A long time ago, I used to say what motivates men is women. So ha ha ha, because that's also the case with what's written in the manual for Eric Lucard in Castlevania Bloodlines. It's also the case of Leon. A long time ago, I used to say what motivates men is women. Like when a protagonist's great love is murdered, for instance. So I created Hector, a hero with such a cruel past, someone whose heart has been hardened. Uh, did you make any specific requests about Hector's design to your illustrator Kojima, Iga? First, it being a 3D game, you spend a lot of time looking at the character's back. So it's designing to incorporate frilly things that would flutter in the wind and so forth. Also, if his silhouette resembled Leon's too much, he would look like a member of the Belmont clan. So I asked her, referring to Ayama Kojima, to not do that. Since Hector is on Dracula's side, Kojima's initial designs featured bat motifs. They were totally awesome, so I made sure those were kept in throughout the many other revisions he went through. What about Isaac? For Isaac, I thought it'd be interesting for the game to have another warrior with the same style. Also, the fact that he and Hector were formerly allies made his story easier to write. There's also the fact that he's been afflicted with Dracula's curse, so I thought it would be interesting to fight against a hero who's gone kind of crazy. We discussed how to represent that visually, and one idea was having him Be naked from the chest up. He laughs. Then he created the symbol of the Devil Forge Masters. And while Hector has it embroidered on his clothing, for Isaac we said, let's make it a crazy tattoo on him. Actually, when I asked Kojima to design him, she said, don't tell anyone that I was the one who made him bare-chested. Everyone laughs. She was uncomfortable with that, wasn't she? Also, I remember the illustration she handed us. Isaac underwear was like low cut as it could possibly be, but the next design iteration, she raised it a bit. We're told to raise it back down as far as possible. So, yeah, Kratos, let's go take a look at. Let's take a look at the Nintendo Retro Store. Again, I don't mind. Let's go do it. I think that might be a little less boring. I hope those Nintendo games are still. So it's only 150 across these various ones. I'm gonna let's see what GameCube has. Oh, not much. This is it. Legend of Zelda: Wind Waker, Soul Calibur 2, Super Mario Strikers, Fire Emblem, Luigi's Mansion. They don't have Mario Sunshine. What kind of a crime is that? Mario Sunshine was a big thing for the GameCube. They don't have Mario Sunshine. That's an unpardonable sin. I'm sorry. You don't have GameCube without Mario Sunshine. Ever. Let's look at NES now. Donkey Kong Jr. All right, I want to check out the Genesis online. Well, they still have Castlevania Bloodlines in the Genesis part, but they don't have the old Castlevania games. That really sucks. Okay, that's a crime. Such a crime. Here we are at the end. So I'm gonna have a replay Castlevania Symphony of the Night because I'll be out on a trip with family. So and later on the next other one that I'm going to be doing when I go back to actually doing new broadcast episodes, not on vacation, it's our favorite movie video games. So our favorite video games based on movies. Anytime, I hope you all have a wonderful time. Come back here for same time, same channel, and it should be great. See you around.